You are listening to the Loida Lewis Podcast, hosted by Loida Nicholas Lewis. She's a trailblazing businesswoman, leader, philanthropist, and the widow of Reginald F. Lewis, the visionary leader who was the first African American to build $1 billion company. With unparalleled determination, Loida Lewis has not only excelled as a successful attorney, but also shaped a billion-dollar empire. Following the untimely passing of her husband, Reginald F. Lewis, she took the helm of TLC Beatrice, carving her legacy as a successful business leader. Be inspired and learn from her as she shares her wisdom, the secrets to her success in both business, in love, and in life. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn. With your host, Miss Loida Lewis.
Welcome to the Loida Lewis Podcast. I have the honor of presenting to you world-famous Filipino designer and entrepreneur, Rajo Laurel. And here he is. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. Well, I knew of him because my stylist said, "You're going to the Philippines?" That was last December. "You have to visit the showroom of Rajo Laurel." I said, "That's Filipino," because you were in the internet. And actually, the dress I'm wearing is from Rajo. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
You look lovely.
Yes, thank you. Well, the dress makes it.
Thank you.
Yes. So just tell the audience, have you always been wanting to be a designer?
That's a beautiful question, primarily because I knew at a very early age that I wanted to be involved in fashion, primarily because it all began in the theater. My grandmother founded the Repertory Philippines.
Oh my God, Repertory Philippines.
Celia.
That's where everybody has been. Lea Salonga and everyone.
Correct. In fact, the funny story is Lea Salonga and I were together on our first time on stage as in the play The King and I.
The King and I. Oh my God.
Lea
So
and I
you
was
were,
there.
who were you? You were the son?
I was just one of the
One
prince.
of prince.
Lea played a speaking and singing role. I was just essentially a rambunctious child. However, that particular experience, I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I realized the power of fashion, the power of the costume, that in one change of the costume, all of a sudden you're the king of Siam. Mm-hmm. So I knew that there was something special about that. And essentially my love for theater receded and essentially concentrated on fashion. But my consciousness of fashion began at that particular period. On stage, in the theater, Repertory Philippines, with Lea Salonga at The King and I. It's funny because we've actually still have a deep friendship with Lea. I'm seeing her this weekend.
Nice.
And
Yes.
in her production of Old Friends.
Old Friends.
We've become very, very good friends. I still, to this day, very gratefully make all her clothes.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. Yes. I love it. I love it. Lea Salonga, for all of those who are not aware, she is on Broadway, Old Friends, Sondheim songs with Bernadette Peters. Okay,
Correct.
Thank you for giving a shout out for Lea.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
Lea, I mean,
yes.
she's quite a phenomenon.
Well, she has received so
Just
many
like you
honors.
po.
No. But Lea is, for those of you, please go to Broadway, Old Friends with Lea Salonga.
Correct.
Yes. So now tell me, how did you, because the Laurel is a very political family, the Justice of the Supreme Court,
Correct.
is that correct? And senators.
Correct.
Vice President to
Cory Aquino.
Cory Aquino.
Doyle.
Yes, all of that.
Well, I come from a long line of public servants on both sides. In fact, my mother is also from a long line of public servants, Senator Teves.
Yes.
And my own father was actually a public servant. He was the governor of the province of Batangas for a good 2 decades.
Right, yes.
At a very difficult time, primarily during the Marcos administration.
Is that your father?
That's my father, Jose Laurel V, who in turn became the ambassador of the Philippines to Japan.
To Japan.
So
yes.
I have long been integrated in the line of public service. However, I chose a different path, much to the anxiousness perhaps of my parents, because it was not something that was done. We come from a long line of public servants, lawyers,
Yes.
businessmen,
Yes.
and whatnot. And here I am, this young creative person who wanted to forge his own path. And
Was that evident when you were young?
absolutely evident. I was already drawing. I was already sketching. I was actually quite creative, and they didn't know what to do with me. Primarily because it was something that was so unusual that I
In
was,
the Laurel family.
Yes, but now it's not as unusual. I mean, I'm grateful that they understood my desires. They understood my wanting to become creative, and this sort of like opened the path to where I am today. And they ended up actually choosing a school in Maryland that was specific for gifted children, and that actually opened doors. And therefore I went to school in New York City. I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, and from there it developed. I think it's very important that although during that particular time when your parents, obviously, I think at the end of the day, all they wanted, just like any parent, is the best for their child.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the world of creativity wasn't perhaps in their heads enough.
It's not in their tradition.
Of
Yes.
something that you will be able to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Because that's all what parents want.
Yes.
That your child will have a stable
Yes.
future.
Yes.
And there I was. I said, what do you want to be? I wanted to be a designer. And my father was like, are you sure, hijo, you want to be a sastre?
Sastre, sastre
I mean,
is like,
a word
just
for seamstress.
Yes, seamstress.
And of course I said, yes. And because of that particular push, in fact, my father was so hesitant, but it was actually the wisdom of my grandfather, Ambassador Jose Laurel III, who said, alam mo, pabayaan mo na, leave Rajo be. And he actually gave my father the most beautiful advice. Let your child be happy. Because once your child is happy, he will find success.
Okay.
And
I want to emphasize that to those parents who have a child that is a little bit different from tradition, okay? The key is let him choose what career or what he wants as long as he's happy.
And I'm the proof of that, primarily because I think when my grandfather in all his wisdom said, let Rajo be happy, because when Rajo is happy, he will become successful. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I've been doing this for almost more than 3 decades. And every day, perhaps just like you, it's not work.
It's not work.
It's really joy.
Yes,
I
yes.
find joy in what I do. And everything I do is connected to design,
Yes.
connected to what is beautiful, like this particular room. And in fact,
And the dress,
and
this is a Rajo.
Yes, what's wonderful about it is just I love flowers.
Yes.
And I took a photo of this particular flower and printed it on the fabric.
Oh my God! So this is a photo of a flower that he took.
Yeah, so the print is actually is original.
That's
So
right.
I'm so
yes.
grateful that you're wearing it.
No, of course. Yes, yes. Well, when I saw it, I said, I'm going to buy that. In fact, I bought a few
Thank you.
of yours. Yeah.
I will definitely send more.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So when your grandfather said it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he said that. Essentially, the floodgates of possibilities occurred. My father let go. My father said, fine, go to school, go to New York. And then he basically supported it. And my grandparents were such huge supporters of my career. In fact, I remember when I was starting, my grandmother said, nobody's still having dresses made. I will be the one. I will be your client. I will be the one.
For repertory Filipino?
Well, no, just for
her
herself.
own.
Yes, because she was an ambassador's wife. They always had events. So
yes.
I was. Can you imagine? I was 20 years old, 21 years old, making my grandmother's gowns, and she was one of my first muses and models. And because of that, her friends came, and my. Their children came, and I started this sort of like path of entrepreneurship, because from that particular process came, I guess, little bits of success. But with that being said, my father was still adamant. He said, okay, now that you're finished in at the Fashion Institute of Technology, please study again business. In all his again wisdom, even if I didn't wanted to do it, he actually persuaded me to enroll in the De La Salle University in Manila. So I took a business course.
Okay.
And
Was
because-
that undergrad or MBA?
undergrad.
Okay.
But that combination of creativity and commerce, I think, was so unusual. Primarily because when you're a designer in the Philippines or anywhere in the world, you're just practically a designer. But because he was so adamant in making sure that I had a business education, I was able to combine the two, and perhaps that's why it propelled, my success a little further
Yes,
and created
exactly.
that stability.
That's right, exactly. Okay, so listen to your parents too, but follow your heart.
Correct.
Right. Yes.
Indeed.
Wonderful. So after you finished at FIT,
Correct.
Fashion Institute of Technology, that's here in New York,
Yes.
listeners. So you went back to the Philippines.
I went back to the Philippines and I started my shop. And again, through the help of my family and through the help of my friends, little bit. I started very humbly. I had one sewer, one seamstress. I rented my friend's basement in Malate. And it all began from there. At the moment, we have about 550 employees.
Wow. From that one seamstress of
And-
550. Wow.
Employees.
That's
And,
great.
We're very fortunate that I'm still here after more than 3 decades doing what I love, making clothes, making people happy, empowering women and men, and bringing out the best of themselves.
Now, when you say men, do you also design for men?
Yes. My company, you can look at it at rajolaurel.com.
Rajo is RAJO.
Yes. I have women's wear, I have menswear, I have children's wear. So
wow.
I have that particular collection every 2 seasons.
So you expanded.
We
Because
expanded.
initially, I'm sure it was just women.
Absolutely, just women. I'm very also fortunate that my sisters joined me with the company, so they actually managed operations, and now thankfully I'm just completely dealing with creativity and marketing and
Yes.
design, of course.
Yes. That's great. And just as you said, this is from a photograph.
Yes.
And then how did it translate into print?
Well, I love flowers, and essentially, I every time I travel, I take pictures of flowers, and then we have a digital printer back home in my factory, and we printed it on the silk Yoryu crepe.
This is the cloth.
That's the cloth. It's actually quite fun, and my design philosophy has always been very strong on the narratives. I always love telling stories. I think fashion is another way of telling stories, and with every collection I do, it's all about that.
Do you have a certain theme?
Well,
when you
every
have
year,
every year?
every season it changes. For instance, currently I was inspired by a wonderful safari that I took.
In Africa.
Yes, I went to Namibia. And it was so fascinating for me because it's so wildly different from the Philippines. I mean, there was nary a drop of water for hundreds of miles. I mean, in the Philippines, we're surrounded by oceans and seas and waters. And so the colors have been, in my mind, inspired by these. But in Namibia, everything is earth. But still there is color. There's nuances of pinks, the variety of browns, and I think the variety of golds. So I think I was so amused by this almost otherworldly country that it had to translate into my collection. So
Wow.
at the moment, the collection is available now. That's my spring and summer collection. Funny enough, my next collection will be inspired by New York City.
New York City, yes. Well, your old love. Being here in your young days.
Yes. In fact, I always tell everyone, New York is like my origin story. This is where it all began. This is where all my dreams occurred. I mean, I didn't even realize that it could happen. But it was always important. It was always very important for me to know that where it all began, I have to revisit it. I have to be reminded, primarily because it will propel, it will perhaps even push me forward, because every time I come back, I remember the hunger, I remember the desire, I remember the passion, I remember the fact that when I come to New York City, this is where it all began.
It's almost like, you're out in the desert and then you come back here to drink fresh water
Exactly.
to be renewed.
Yes, because New York City is like this well of inspiration. Everywhere you look, there's something happening.
Yes.
It's never. I don't know. It's always exciting. Of course, it changes.
Yes,
But
yes.
at the same time, I'm like this. I'm back to my 16-year-old self, walking the streets of Fifth Avenue, Madison, and all. The city has always been such this magnetic, magical playground.
It is. It is.
And meeting wonderful human beings like yourself.
Yes. Well, New York has 150 nationalities, and you can find them everywhere.
Exactly.
Walk down the Fifth Avenue,
Yeah.
and you hear the Spanish, the French.
I was actually in the West Village a few days ago, and we were just with a friend walking around the corner. One point we were in India, another point we were in Italy, and another we were in France.
Yes.
So literally, just walking down the block, you can actually travel from 3 different continents and 3 different countries.
Yes.
In one place. I mean, I think the beauty about New York is that it's so diverse, and everybody has this chance to be someone, and that's why I come back.
Well, Frank Sinatra has it. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Indeed,
Yes,
but
yes.
not everybody does. So it
No,
it
yes,
takes a lot
absolutely.
it takes a lot of grit, and patience, and hard work.
Well, actually, for those who are listening, it's anywhere. If you want to succeed, grit, patience, hard work, and tenacity.
Yes.
You cannot give up on your dream.
Correct.
Yes.
You just have to keep at it, and that's why, as I said, I save money to come back to New York, just to sort of like be reminded of that. It's just it's almost like the gasoline that lights the flame of desire.
That's great. Wonderful. Yes. So we will look forward to his spring collection.
Well, the spring summer collection is available now.
Okay.
On my website at rajolaurel.com.
Yes.
And I'm preparing for my holiday collection coming soon.
Okay, for the Christmas.
Inspired by New York.
Inspired by New York. Yes, yes. Well, I call New York, all roads lead to New York. Because during the Roman times, Pax Americana, all roads lead to Rome.
Correct.
Now it's Pax Romana. Now it's Pax Americana. Since World War II, there's been no global. There's many local wars,
Correct.
but not global. So this peace is because of American rule. Hopefully, with this president we have, maybe. But anyway, but that's our
That's
hope.
another podcast.
That other podcast. Yes. Yes.
but
So
thank
this
you.
is being here in New York.
But may
incites
I
you.
say thank you for being an inspiration, not just to myself, but to all Filipinos all over the world, for what you've accomplished and for what you've done and for what you represent. You represent an opportunity, a hope of the new Filipino. Maraming pong salamat.
Oh, wow. That's high praise coming from you,
Marami pong
Rajo. But actually, all of us Filipino are light in darkness in a sense. I think it's because of our being Filipino. Okay, anywhere you go, they would say, "Oh, you're Filipina? I have a nurse that took care of my mother and all that. I have a doctor," like that, something like that.
I think it's because of our hearts. I mean, we really have the biggest hearts. And I think because we live in an environment wherein it's always sunshine. So we have that mindset of giving our heart and giving our sunshine.
Yes. No, I do believe that. And also because I think we have a sense of the divine.
Yes.
Whether you are Muslim or Christian,
Correct.
There is a malasakit
Correct.
in Filipino word,
Correct.
which is a feeling of what the other person is feeling.
Correct.
Yes. So
Of
that's
humanness, of being human.
being human, accepting human. And we love to laugh.
Oh!
And to dance.
What is laugh and to sing?
And to sing, exactly. Yes.
What is life without all that?
Yes. Right. Now, as you started your career with just family, grandmother, friends of grandmother, so how did it move up? Yes.
It moved up primarily with the opportunities that came by my way. I mean, with the onset of my sister coming in, she goes, "Rajo, people would like to come to you, but they don't like to wait. I started my business with made to order. Everything was customized, but people have no time. So she introduced the idea of ready to wear. Where women like yourself are so busy or on the go. So basically, they try it on, they buy, and they go. And so that was one of the things that actually propelled this idea that it's accessible for all. And then one day, one of the biggest part of my business really is corporate apparel. One day, my friend who I did her wedding worked in a hotel and said, Rajo, would you consider actually doing hotel uniforms? And I said, why not? It's something that I've never done. And that again propelled my business to different directions, because for the last 20 years, I've been doing all the uniforms of the Shangri-La group of companies.
Shangri-La.
The Shangri-La Hotel.
All over Asia.
All over Asia. So I did their hotels in Shanghai, in Malaysia, in Singapore.
So does that mean to say all of them have the same?
No, well, they have the same DNA. Like designing is
but
all,
not
a cookie cutter situation.
Right, okay.
As a designer, you still have to sort of like create this desire of perfumed beauty. You can't just sort of like make it all the same. I always think about designing is like cooking. Obviously, everybody has a different taste. Some prefer it a little spicy. Some people a little salty. Some people like a little sweet. Our job is to make sure that the person having this particular fashion design is actually excited to have it, because you're able to touch that little untouchable, intangible thing, and that makes it desirable.
That pertains to that particular
country,
and the
also
and
the
hotel.
rules that they play. But because let's say it's a Shangri-La group of, there is a DNA. There is that thin line that connects everything. However, what you do for Shanghai should be very different from what you do for Manila. So because of that, again, the company grew. So a lot of people don't realize that what we do is, obviously we have the made-to-order clients, and then we have the ready-to-wear clients. But the big group of what we do is the corporate clients. We do a lot of casinos, not just in the Philippines, but all over Southeast Asia.
Yes.
Everything you see in Solaire, I designed, I created. So the Solaire group of company is one of our biggest clients. So, a lot of people don't know that.
No,
but,
not at all.
A lot of people don't know that, but that is really our bread and butter.
And also, it's different. Meaning to say, because it's from your imagination, when you go to other hotels.
Correct.
Okay? You will see, something,
Yes, it's
a uniform.
Correct.
Yes.
We create uniforms that are not uniforms.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yes,
Correct.
Okay,
So
that's
I'm very proud of that, because it created a paradigm shift. A lot of my colleagues didn't even want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. They're saying, "Oh, that's sort of like that. No, we don't do that." But I said, I want to do it primarily because nobody does it. So again, that you create these incredible opportunities by actually saying yes, even if you can't do it.
Yes.
Or even if you've never done it before. I think part and parcel of lasting this long. I mean, I've been doing this for more than 3 decades, and I'd like to think I'm still relevant. I'm still here, and that's why, going back to where I am now in your beautiful home, is I'm reminded of where it all began.
Yes, thank you. Okay, for those listening, remember what he just said. There's an opportunity, has never done it before, but you take it.
Yes.
You take it. And that comes from your own self-confidence.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to have that. Even if you're scared, even if you're anxious, even if you're really afraid, I think you have to think about this. What will I learn from this? What is my takeaway? How can I learn from this particular situation? I mean, in many ways, even if you falter, you fall, and you fall flat on your face, I always believe that there's something to be learned about that. Failure, for me, is one of the most important things that happens to anyone.
Listen. Did you just listen to that? Failure, even if you fail, you fall flat on your face. Again, please repeat that.
Well, failure for me is the most important teacher, because success, honestly, will not teach you anything. But the pain of failure, you will never forget.
Okay. So for all of those who have been disappointed, who have fallen flat on their face, please listen to Rajo. Okay? Let it be a teaching moment, and then you rise again.
Correct.
Yes.
Because I believe that you will remember more the pain of failing rather than the sweetness of success.
Yes.
Success is fleeting, But however, the learning of failure is deep-seated, and you will never forget that.
Okay. Please, so important. Okay, Rajo so successful as a couturier, as a haute couture, as they say in France, meaning designer of great clothes. But, okay, he has fallen. He has been disappointed,
Of
right?
course, yes.
He has had failures, but he uses it as a teaching moment.
I'll give you an example. I mean, for many, many years, I've been trying to enter New York, trying to sort of like, enter this wonderful fashion industry. This is where as I said, my dream began. But I remember this vividly. We were here during Fashion Week in the middle of winter. My sisters and I and brothers were so shivering in the cold, peddling our clothes from one showroom to the next. And we looked at each other and said, what are we doing here? Let's go back home. And we refocused our energies. Refocused on Southeast Asia, refocused our energies on somewhere we knew. Because the world is not just New York City. It's not just, as you said, success can be found in the most unlikely places. Success is everywhere. You just need to actually focus on that. And my most important learning is there's power in being small. Because even if you're a big company, it's harder to maneuver. But if you're a small company, you're able to sort of like adjust and tweak and essentially approach and attack the problem in a more accessible manner. So there's a lot of learning. But yes, I mean, in fact, every day I want to fail. In fact, I tell myself, bring it on.
Yeah.
Because
The challenge.
Because with each failure comes far, far, far sweeter successes.
Okay. All right. Again, please. Okay. Celebrate failure. Don't be afraid. For those of you who have a challenge coming to your way, because as soon as you said, hindi ko kaya yan, I cannot do it, you're dead. You're finished. Okay? So when something comes along, you say, kaya ko. I can do it.
I remember this little adage called try and try until you die. Kasi habang buhay ka pa, may pagkakataon.
Yes. The other way is, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
Correct.
Okay, so here's the
Well,
lesson.
you are a prime example.
Yes, well, so yes. So I'm just saying, because many people are looking at this podcast, and I just want to tell them
It's true.
that there is no overnight success.
No.
And if you look for overnight success, it's no good.
Then you will be disappointed. Because I think that opportunities are just there because it's almost like you are practicing towards that particular leading. I think luck is all about preparation.
yes.
And then getting ready for that particular opportunity.
Yes. And sometimes you're not even prepared.
No,
but
exactly.
something comes along, you just take it.
Correct.
Kaya natin.
Yes.
We can do it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So
Absolutely. And if you don't know how, learn.
Yes, that's right. All right, see? You learn the job. You take it, and then you learn it as you go along. Galing tayo.
Of course.
Diba? We are very resourceful.
The Filipino is honestly, if you focus on our talents, we are quite the most incredible race.
Yes.
Because we are just a race that can do anything.
Yes. No, I believe that.
You know, there's a word I learned, habilidad. Maabilidad. It's our can-do attitude.
Yes. Habilidad. That's Filipino, also Spanish.
Is that so?
I think a translation is resourcefulness.
Resourcefulness, correct.
Okay. Versatility.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Then that's definitely. So for those of you who do not know yet, Rajo is on the internet, and you can see all the beautiful clothes that he does. Because before I went to Manila, that's where I saw it. So I said, okay, I'm going there.
I know. Oh my God, it's embarrassing because at the moment we're filming Drag Race Philippines, and I sit on the judge, and I also was a judge also on Project Runway Philippines.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Runway
so,
Philippines.
correct.
On television. Yes, you're a judge there.
Opo, but nakakahiya kasi talking to you, it's also formal.
No. Runway Philippines, that's something. How long ago?
Oh, this is a long time ago, probably about 8 years ago. We had 4 seasons preparing the Filipino designer to the next level. I think it's all about that. I mean, at this point, I guess in my life, it's sharing, it's teaching, it's leading by example of showing the next generation that it's possible. but you also have to make them realize that it's a lot of hard work. That, as you say, nothing is
Overnight success.
That if you think everything is easy, because we live in a culture where everybody wants to be famous and rich. Everybody just they go on TikTok, they go on social media, and they think they but that's actually a fallacy.
Yes, it's fleeting.
Yes,
it's fleeting.
It's absolutely fleeting.
No overnight success. It's hard work. For those of you who are afraid of hard work, sige, dyan na lang kayo. But if you're not afraid of hard work,
Yes.
Almost 24/7, and with a vision, you have to have a vision.
Correct.
Where do you want to go?
I always thought that apart from the vision, intention.
Tell me more about that.
Well, intention really is sort of like, again, the seed. I mean, success is fleeting, but what does it mean to you? A lot of people can be thought of as successful, but they have no absolute meaning because they forget the intention. And always remember that when you work and when you dream, always remember why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this? Yes,
What
that's
is your
right.
intention?
That's
And the
right.
intention will actually clarify the things along the way.
Okay.
Always
And your
go back.
intention from the time that you said that you want to be a
My
designer.
intention was to truly make other people feel beautiful about themselves, and making my clothes part and parcel of their particular journey, to empower women, to empower men, to bring out the best in themselves. And as I grow along, the intention is really to make my employees' lives better, so that when they think about the years that we've worked together, I'm able to help them, not just help them financially, but help them also realize their dreams, putting their children through school, making sure that the future of their children surpasses their own. And so we are part of that dialogue. We are part of the dialogue of actually making Filipino lives better.
Wonderful. All right, you heard it here from Rajo Laurel. This is from Isa B.
Hi, Isa.
Yes. What's your favorite piece that you ever made and who wore it?
Oh, I always love the wedding gowns I did for my sisters. It's very personal, primarily because that's a wedding gown is one of the most important dresses anyone can wear. But to be able to wear, to create and design the wedding dresses of my sisters was very special and poignant for me.
So, who was the first one who got married?
Oh, the first one who got married was my sister Venice, who came after me, and soon after that, my sister Angela got married as well.
And who was your COO, Chief Operating Officer, the one who's managing?
Yes, this is my sister Venice,
Venice.
the one who came after me.
I see.
She's actually the. Without her, I don't think we'll be as successful as we are. She's the wind beneath our wings. She's my yin to my yang. She's the order to my chaos. And I love her very much.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. See that? Brother and sister, sibling that works. All right, it happens. Sheena from Sheena B. What does a normal day in your life look like when you are not designing?
Oh, I love a routine. In fact, I'm a morning person, so I'm usually up at 5:30 a.m. Anywhere I am, actually. And I like to take an hour walk. I usually begin my day with an hour walk. It helps me meditate. It helps me sort of like restart my mind. Just a little bit of 1 hour of quiet time. And that helps me meditate. And then
It's almost, meditation, being quiet.
Being quiet, because my whole day sort of like becomes already quite busy after that. And then I go home, have breakfast, have coffee, and then I tell myself, what do I want to share to the world? And then basically that particular meditation begins that. And then what I want to tell my story to the world, that actually begins the rhythm of my day. I go to work at 8. I actually end at around 5:30, 6 p.m. I see clients, I see meetings. And then I go home, I cook dinner with my partner, and then sleep early. I'm in bed.
So, you mean to say you still cook?
Yes, I love to cook. Cooking is our
Therapy.
relaxation. In fact, what again grounds me. I think cooking is perhaps one of the loveliest thing anyone can do for another human being. And then it restarts again. People actually think, oh, you must party. Yeah, I used to, but now that at this age, I'd like to be in bed before 10. And then recharge, read a book, and then start over.
And you don't watch TV?
I do, but very rarely.
rarely,
I mean, I think I stream more than television. I don't have.
regular
I
one.
don't have. Actually, I don't have cable. I only watch things I see on Netflix or Hulu or
Netflix.
whatnot.
Yes.
But I like documentaries more.
Yes, yes, the true to life. Okay, thank you. Now, this is from Cara D. Do you think the world is finally paying attention to Filipino fashion designers?
Absolutely. This is the time of the brown artist. I think this is the time of the Southeast Asian artist. In fact, the art world and the fashion world are deeply connected. And one of my friends just opened a gallery here in New York City,
Oh, which
Silver
one is
Lens of Isa Lorenzo. Isa Lorenzo is one of the first Filipino art galleries that's primarily focused on Southeast Asian artists. And they are selling through the roof, primarily because it's a different point of view. And with that comes our narratives, our clothes, our stories. And because we are actually going against the antithesis of fast fashion, because most of the designers back home have smaller corporations, smaller manufacturing capacities, because we are small, we become more special. And because we are more special, therefore, the concentration of fashion has begun. Clearly, for instance, Vogue Philippines is already in the Philippines.
Yes.
It's almost like a magnifying glass of what the Philippines can do. And believe it or not, what I have heard is Vogue Philippines is one of the highest net income
For
magazines
Vogue.
for Vogue globally for Condé Nast. Can you imagine that?
No, I can't.
And every single thing that we do is highlighted by the rest of the fashion world. If you actually look at Vogue Philippines and what they've done, we are being copied by everybody. We are the first Vogue magazines who put 100-year-old woman on the cover.
That went wild. Yes, that went viral.
Viral. And
Yes.
because of that, people were actually copying because it's ageism. But things like that, I mean, can you imagine Vogue Philippines having that particular, again, paradigm shift of how they actually present beauty and present fashion. And the world took notice.
Yes, very much.
And that's already a clear example that the Filipino designer has come.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We were all amazed as a 107-year-old tattooed all over her
Correct.
body,
Wag
and
on.
it was beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, all right. Thank you. Now, this is from JP. How is your fashion business thriving in this economy with the Trumpism? Many fashion houses have
Yes.
closed.
Well, the good thing about it is I'm not in America. I don't really have access to the United States, unless it's a private client like yourself. So I am not fully aware, but I feel for all of my colleagues in the United States struggling to actually make ends sort of like meet with all of these situations, because it changes every day. Unfortunately, the president of the United States changes his policies on a drop of a hat. It's very difficult to actually navigate this. But the Filipino designer, as for the Southeast Asian community, is thriving. We are thriving because our economy is strong. The Filipino, if you think about it, the average age of the Filipino is 26, and we are 110 million people.
I know.
That's
Yes,
why
yes.
if you imagine that particular demographic, you know that we will survive.
Yes, yes, that's right. Very good. That is wonderful. We will survive. Now, this is from Ann M. Who of you is your dream client that you haven't dressed yet?
Well, I'm in front of one.
Well,
So
I have bought one.
but dream already fulfilled because you're wearing my dress. I would actually love to see my dress on Tilda Swinton. She's an actress who I
Yes, an
admire.
actress, yes.
I would love to dress Mrs. Obama. And I'd love to dress, if given the opportunity. She's my favorite person, Oprah Winfrey.
Yes, okay.
So I'm manifesting that. If I can dress
Manifest.
Oprah Winfrey, I think I'll be the most happiest person.
All right.
I love
okay.
Oprah.
I'm going to send this to her.
Oh, yeah. I
Yes,
love
yes,
Oprah. Oh, my
yes.
God.
Yes. Okay, this is from Rabbit T. Have you ever had a difficult client, maybe someone who kept requesting changes and wanted to alter the design entirely? And how did you handle
Absolutely.
that?
I mean, at the end of the day, you have to give him what the client wants. In fact, be grateful for particular challenging clients, because that will only make you better. In other words, these abrasive situations, it's like thinking about polishing you to become a better stone. And as these difficult clients come across, you must accept. You must say yes. You will do your best because they make you not only a better designer, but a better person. Be grateful for challenging clients because they will make you a better designer.
Have you have
Absolutely.
had
Yes.
and
you
after,
cry in the back, but then
Yes.
you sort of like wipe your tears and you do it all over again. Because
do they come back?
of course,
They do.
because you made an effort. You know, you did as I always say, you did turn your back on your responsibility. You have a responsibility to make your clients happy, no matter at what cost. And I've learned that as I age, as I become an older person and wiser person, you must continue to make them happy, regardless of whatever they ask you. Just say yes, because they will appreciate that. They will appreciate you saying yes to all their demands, no matter how difficult it is.
All right. Well, for those of you in the sales business, listen to Rajo. All right. Now, this one is, have you ever walked away from a project or came close to walking away? That's from Vic L.
Absolutely. Because sometimes these projects are not for you. So you basically actually have to, again, think about it. How will it be affecting your mental health? How will it be affecting your own personal life? You can only try as much. But you also have to be quite practical when you actually think about that this is not going to be working on both parts. Because with any relationship, it should be a win-win situation. It should be beneficial to all. You should benefit from it and I should benefit from it. However, if it's sort of like already at this particular conjunction of toxicity, then you must walk away. You must realize when it is the end. Because that will only be beneficial to everybody concerned. Yes, I have walked away.
Yeah,
and
right.
yes, it will be always about agreeing to disagree. Because at the end of the day, you have to be careful with yourself. Because how can you actually make another human being happy if you're not happy yourself?
Wow, good lesson, everybody, business people. All right, so at a certain point, you've got to say no or turn away. Diplomatically?
Of course.
Yes,
As
as
diplomatic as
you can.
possible.
Yes, yes.
Because you don't want to burn bridges.
Don't burn bridges.
You don't want to burn bridges because you
Yes.
never know at what point this will all come up. Because this is just a situation. It just didn't work out now. Perhaps another round.
Right.
Never burn bridges, but always be open. But I always say, never burn bridges, but always be aware of boundaries.
Right. Boundaries, all right? Don't burn bridges because you'll never know.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you are that kind and he knows or she knows that he has really been impossible, a situation will award when she will say or he will say, no, he's good.
Opo.
Okay? So dumarating, bumabalik. What goes around comes around. Now, this is from Gia C. What's your guilty pleasure when you're not in design mode?
I eat too much. Obviously. Food is my guilty pleasure. My doctor kasi, so tama na. But I'm a hedonist. I love good food. That's why New York is dangerous for me. Because all your restaurants are
Yes.
just incredibly delicious.
Yes.
I love to eat.
Yes. All right. Well, this is the last one from Chris H. Where do you see your brand in the next 10 years?
Oh, good question. I'm in transition at the moment. We are seeing the brand outlive myself. The goal is to outlive myself. The goal is to be able to actually talk to a new generation of having the brand create this particular legacy. At the moment, I'm very grateful that I am training the next generation of designers that will bring my brand to the future. And also, my nieces are going to be helping me out very, very soon. So the goal is to be the first Filipino brand to outlive its designer.
Wow.
So that's the goal.
Just like Coco Chanel, Karl Lagerfeld.
Amen.
Right, yes.
Magdila po kayong anghel.
No, it will happen.
Thank you.
Because you have said it out there. What's that? You manifest yourself.
I believe it will happen.
Yes, very good. Rajo, you mentioned something about your partner. Can you tell a little bit more about your partner?
I'm very, very blessed to have my partner, my life partner. His name is Nix Alanon. We've been together for 20 years this September. And
Yes.
he's my rock, my family. And he just left home from the Philippines today because he had some work to do. But our relationship has been one of openness and dialogue. And I think it's important that we, like myself, I stand on shoulders of people from the LGBTQ community, that it is possible to have a healthy relationship in the Philippines and in Asia, even if we're not represented well or equal in terms of our laws and our rights. We have very little rights. But that being said, I think it's one of the countries we're in. It's quite open and it's quite accepting. And I'm very grateful that we have each other in our lives.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it with the audience. Okay. Love conquers all.
Indeed.
Yes, yes. Can you just share how people can get in touch or see you or watch you?
I'm on Instagram.
Instagram, guys, on the
Rajo Laurel
Rajo
on
Laurel.
Instagram. You can see my work on my website at rajolaurel.com.
RajoLaurel.com. Okay, that's where I saw this.
And a piece of advice to anybody who wants to follow this career in fashion is that, again, always remember your intention. Regardless of what you want to do in life. I always say this to everyone who's willing to listen. Remember where it all began, because that is going to be pushing you forward towards your future. And always start from a place of good, and always be kind, because that will always be returned 1,000-fold.
Those are words of wisdom from Rajo Laurel, world famous designer of the Filipino. Okay, so thank you. And this is the Loida Lewis Podcast. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn together. Thank you.
Thank you. Maraming pong salamat.
The Loida Lewis Podcast, hosted by Loida Lewis, is produced by the creators of Over a Glass or Two, Jesse and JV. Executive produced by Laura Nicholas Olace. Rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for a chance to be featured on a future episode. Have a question for Miss Loida? Just email us on askloidalewis@gmail.com. Your question might make its way to a future episode. Subscribe on all major platforms to never miss a beat. Thank you for listening to the Loida Lewis Podcast. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn together